Yo, what's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst back at it again. Got my mic back, so the voice is a little better. Um, Doing my recap for UFC 94. Let me start off with this. You know, GSP handled his damn business. George St. Pierre went out there and really got down. Before we get into what happened in each fight, I just want to say that when I was putting together my picks for the UFC Fantasy League. By the way, if anybody out there likes to do the whole fantasy sports thing, go to UFC.com. They've got one there. It's run really well. It's real tight. I don't know how legitimate. I mean, I don't know if there's really like 30,000 people playing like they say there is. You know what I mean? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But if you've ever watched sports with fantasy betting in play and then watch sports without it in play, it's like it's a different level of fun when you've got something on the line, and it's not money, but we'll see. Anyways, I'm looking at this when I'm putting my picks together, and at the end of the thing, I'm looking at it, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fights. And I've got 8 of them going to decision. And I'm like, that's impossible, man. I mean, not that it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely that so many fights are going to go to decision. So I look over the fights and I'm like, Jake O'Brien versus Christian Wellich. I'm like, that's a decision. Chris Wilson versus John Howard. That's a decision. Manny Gambierian versus Thiago Tavares. I'm trying to pick ones and take them out of decision mode and put them into some kind of TKO or submission. Couldn't do it with that. John Fitch versus Akira Gono. Couldn't do it with that. Nate Diaz versus Clay Guida. This was the most obvious one to me. Almost. I'm like, this one here, that's a decision. Parisian versus Dong Hyun Kim. I'm like, that's a decision. Stephan Bonner versus John Jones. I'm thinking that's the decision. And so I'm going through and I try to change it and I can't. And I just got to stick with my gut. I got to look odds in the face and say, I got to stick with my gut. The whole undercard goes to decision. Every single card on the fight except for the last 2 go to decision. Lyoto Machida did not go to decision. He went out and TKO'd Thiago Silva in devastating fashion. And the one fight I didn't put in decision was the main event, which we will start with right now. What I said would happen in this fight was they would start out, first round would be kind of close, but George St. Pierre would win it. He would go for takedowns. He wouldn't really get him. BJ Penn would be fresh. He would stuff the takedowns. End of story. George St. Pierre wins the first round, but not by much. Second round, he does more. He gets the takedown. He starts to tire him out, blah, 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 blah. Wins the second round. Easy choice, but nothing too crazy. Third round, he beats down BJ Penn. Could damn near stop the fight, but it doesn't. Goes to the 4th round. And in the 4th round, he delivers an absolute ass whooping and wins the fight via TKO in the 4th round. Yeah, I had to see my hands. I'm proud of that right there. They couldn't have been predicted any better. I don't pat myself on the back, but pretty much only because I'm not that flexible. That is exactly what happened. George St. Pierre handled his business. He went out there. I also said he doesn't picking people apart at the beginning. He picks them apart when he has them hurt. And that's what he did when he stood to the feet and George and BJ Penn was hurt. That's when he started hitting him with the jabs. That's when he started, throwing the stuff that really busted him up, and then he brought him right back to the ground and beat him with that TKO. Very good performance from George St. Pierre. To be completely honest, though, when I was thinking about how this fight would go through and how this fight would play out, I couldn't think of any other scenario. Yeah, there's a possibility that BJ Penn could catch him with some kind of something. Yeah, there's a possibility that St. Pierre could, but it just didn't make any sense. Nothing really clicked. I can't go off of chances and hopes and dreams and whatnot. That just seemed to be the only logical way that this fight could end. BJ Penn, thank God for his own sake that he did not tap to strikes. Because nobody would have been pissed if he hadn't talked all that junk. But then after he talked all that junk, if he would have tapped the strikes, good Lord, that would have been a crucifixion of his damn self. What else happened in that fight? Oh, like I said, really it comes down to the best guy at 170 versus the best guy at a weight class 15 pounds lighter than him. The best guy at 170 most likely is going to win. He's stronger, he's bigger, he's faster. That's the situation that it was. What's up next for him? Thiago Alves. This is a fight where he will not be the bigger guy. Thiago Alves is the biggest 170 guy on earth. He will not be the better striker. Thiago Alves is definitely a better striker. He has more power. And when it comes down to it, it's going to come down to the wrestling. I'll get to this when it gets down to it. But that's going to be a real serious fight. Thiago Alves versus Georges St-Pierre. Overall, excellent performance for Georges St-Pierre. Handled his business. He's the champ. Great work. He needs to stop doing those backflips. Really, when it comes down to it, he never lands them. He always lands on his ankles, and he looks real like chicken-like when he does it. It's not a good look at all. At least today he saved it. He did the backflip, rolled, then he did a little kickstand type thing. I know it's tradition, but you're not Eddie Alvarez or any of the other guys who just do backflips and land on their feet gracefully. You're going to hurt yourself, and that's just unnecessary. All right, Lyoto Machida. This fight, I will say it like this. I was rooting for Thiago Silva. I didn't believe he could do it. He didn't do it. I thought Lyoto Machida would win by decision. Lyoto Machida did better. But look, come on, man. Thiago Silva threw less strikes in this fight than most people throw in any fight. He was literally walking towards Lyoto Machida with his hands at least here or lower. He wasn't walking with his hands up. He was just like, I'm going to walk him down. And then he just kept hit. And it was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'm going to do a video for the light heavyweights in the UFC. Not from experience, because I'm not a light heavyweight and I'm not in the UFC. But just from what I believe is the way to beat Lyoto Machida. And not because I really want to see Lyoto Machida lose, but just because I want to see people use a proper technique, proper game plan. Like if Lyoto Machida gets that title shot, which I'm going to talk about next, then he's going to be fighting against Rashad Evans, Greg Jackson. He's got game plans. So, it'll be cool to see what he has in store for Lyoto Machida. I'm going to make a video, so hopefully the UFC 205 division can see it. Basically, what I'm going to put in it is I'm going to just repeat what I said in the breakdown earlier. When you're coming at Lyoto Machida, you have to throw punches. You cannot walk to close the distance. And that's the thing. Like Thiago Silva, he was not aggressive. He was just advancing. There's no such thing as aggression without strikes. Like somebody can walk at me all they want. That's not aggression. That's just advancement. If you want to be aggressive, you have to throw a strike. You have to attack. Walking at me is not an attack. That is a greeting. So he was literally, greeting Lyoto Machida's fists with his face. That was his aggression. You know what I mean? Lyoto Machida, they kept calling him elusive. He wasn't elusive. And he wasn't evasive. He was just aggressive. He was the one that was like, if you're going to walk at me, I'm going to punch you in the face. And that's what he did. There's never been a question of Lyoto Machida's talent. There's never been a question of Lyoto Machida's ability to strategize. There's never been a question of Lyoto Machida's power. If you're going to walk at Lyoto Machida with your hands down, you're going to get knocked out. Period. That's it. Thiago Silva has officially put together the worst game plan for fighting Lyoto Machida. When he said he was going to chase him, I didn't think he was going to walk him down and get punched in the face. You got to move. You got to punch. Walk. You literally have to just continuously throw punches. That's what you have to do. And you'll win off of the worst decision ever because you might not land any punches, but he's not going to throw any punches because he's just going to be backpedaling. There's another way, which I think Greg Jackson will have, for as Rashad Evans do, if Dana White gives him that shot. And that's the second thing I want to talk about. Dana White, what you going to do, man? Rashad Evans, he's the champ. The number one contender in most people's eyes would be either Rampage Jackson or Lyoto Machida. Rampage Jackson is fighting Keith Jardine in like 2 months. So they're out. Shogun can't get the title shot, but even if he could have, he can't because he's fighting Chuck Liddell in like 2 months. It's not like Forrest Griffin could get the title shot right now, but because he lost. But even if he could, he's injured. So when it comes down to it, all the guys that could fight Rashad Evans are either on a losing streak or already in a fight or both. The only person right now that deserves a title shot at Rashad Evans is Lyoto Machida. Now, this causes a problem because not everybody's going to fight like Thiago Silva did. Some people are going to throw punches and stop and then get punched. Throw punches and stop and then get punched. That's normally what happens. And then those lead to what a lot of people consider to be boring decisions. This would be, 25-minute fights. Dana White, are you going to give Lyoto Machida his title shot because he's the dude? We will see. That's what I like about saying stuff, because these are the kind of things where time passes, the time comes, and then you get to see. I'm not guessing the end of the world. I'm not guessing, I'm not predicting global warming is going to happen in 200 years. We're talking about stuff that's going to happen next week, stuff that's going to happen in 2 months. We're going to see these things if everybody lives, you know what I mean? Let's see what happens. Lyoto Machida, if dude fought guys who fought like this, I would have zero issues with dude. He took advantage of all opportunities. It seemed like the whole fight was an opportunity. I can't wait to see the CompuStrike stats just to see how few shots Thiago Silva actually threw. I guarantee you he threw less than 10 punches and less than 5 kicks. And he was moving forward the entire time. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Stephan Bonner versus John Jones. John Jones, whoa. He's very new to the sport. But guy is obviously on point. He's like 20 years old. He's learning everything very quick. He's doing everything very slick. Cut dude's leg through a spinning back elbow, connected. Did like a German suplex. Dude had double underhooks on him, and he was like, "It's okay," and just threw him. And that's when he was tired. And that was in the 3rd round. Multiple spinning back kicks, side kicks, everything he threw, he landed. He was very confident. Dude is, let's not all go, start the John Jones bandwagon, but let's at least start maybe preparing the automobile so that one day, it will be ready and people can start jumping on. Don't jump on it yet. You know what I mean? But he definitely handled his business against a very skilled vet in Stephan Bonner. So I already talked about Lyoto Machida. What's next for him? Either a title shot or controversy. George St. Pierre, what's next for him? Thiago Alves. After he fights Thiago Alves, and don't take that as beats, because that's not what I'm saying will happen. After he fights Thiago Alves, we'll see what happens after that. There's not many people in that division for him to fight. So, maybe Karo will get one more win and maybe he'll get a title shot. Maybe they'll have him fight Anderson Silva. Don't do that. That's a no-win situation for him. John Jones, what's next for him? John Jones is the kind of guy right now, he just beat Stephan Bonner. Put him up against somebody else. That's a tough vet. If he goes through him, then at that point he'll be ready for that real serious test. Like this guy, with the way he fights and the way the UFC works, and as entertaining as he is, really this guy's he's like 3 fights away from a title shot. He is 3 wins away from a title shot. That's how I feel about that. Stephan Bonner, he ain't going anywhere. You know, he tried his best in that fight though. And for anybody thinking about, you know, who might have to fight John Jones in the future, when John Jones got tired, he kept every time anything happened, he'd duck his head down first, and most of the time, Stephan Bonner threw like a hook first or whatever. If he would have started with the uppercut, like steps forward uppercut, he would have caught dude. I don't know if he would have knocked him out. We don't know how his chin is, but he definitely would have caught him bad. All right, Karo Parisian versus Dong Hyun Kim. Dong Hyun Kim. Karo Parisian won by unanimous by split decision. It was a close fight. I personally believe, you know, first round was easy round for Dong Hyun Kim. Second round was barely won by Karo Parisian, and same thing, third round barely won by Karo Parisian. If this was like Pride rules reffing, they probably would have given the fight to Dong Hyun Kim because overall he kind of won the whole fight. But you know, if you take somebody's back and you don't do anything, and then he puts you on the ground and he doesn't do anything, but he puts you on the ground twice, you know, he gets the round, 2 rounds to 1. I saw it as Karo Parisian winning this. There were way too many split decisions that really shouldn't have happened. Nate Diaz versus Clay Guida, that's not a split decision. Clay Guida won the fight. 2 rounds to 1 at least. Manny Gambierian versus Thiago Tavares, that was a weird one. I'm not even getting to that. Anyways, there were like 5 split decisions on this card, and then like 8 decisions altogether. That's crazy. Another thing, if Lyoto Machida wouldn't have finished dude, if Lyoto Machida would have like went 25 minutes, went 15 minutes in this fight, George St. Pierre versus BJ Penn would have been like maybe cut off. Like Dana White has to absolutely be loving dude because like really, like round 4 might not have got watched. They would have, you know what I mean? They would have just got cut off in the middle of a takedown or something. Because when the pay-per-view time runs out, that's it. There's no Dana White doesn't call it. That's it. 1 o'clock, bam, done. You know, so 10 o'clock, you know, on the West, that's it. So, you know, 10 o'clock is my yeah, all right. So, you know, props to Lyoto Machida for getting it done because other than him, you know, nothing had gone, you know, nothing. Everything went to decision before his fight. He had the shortest fight of the night. Anyways, y'all. Nate Diaz versus Clay Guida. Clay Guida just controlled him. Nate Diaz couldn't get what he wanted to do. Nate Diaz needed to just box more. Box, never get close. But he let the distance get close. He throw punches, and then all of a sudden, oh, how'd I get here? We're gripped up again. He should have kept his distance. His boxing was not gonna like knock him out, but it was definitely, you know, slowing him down, busting him up, and he just kept moving close. He needed to be like box. He was like this. These are the fighters, by the way. I gotta get the UFC dolls, so I'll be like. Anyways. Nate Diaz, give him another good fight. He'll be alright. Clay Guida, give him another good fight. He's had all tough fights in the UFC. He hasn't had an easy fight. I think his easiest fight was Roger Tom Cruz Huerta. Thiago Tavares undercard. Oh, sorry. Akira Gono, John Fitch. John Fitch just demolished him. Really is just a big guy, a strong guy, a fast guy, a good wrestler. You know, it was a 3-round unanimous bombing of a decision. Manny Gambier versus Thiago Tavares. Thiago Tavares won this one, unanimous decision. All these guys, Akira Gono, I don't know, like he's really entertaining and whatnot, but he's like 1 loss away from getting cut from the UFC, which is too bad. He's entertaining, but he's really small, man. He's really small. Manny Gambierian lost, like he's also he might be out of the UFC. I don't know his contract, but you know he's 1 loss definitely away from being cut. Thiago Tavares is going to try and climb that ladder again. The 155 division is just so stacked. So many people, so difficult. But, you know, keep working. John Howard won his fight over Chris Wilson. Jake O'Brien won over Christian Wellish, and I think it was a split decision. And the other fight that didn't go the other fight we did this one, yeah, Dan Kramer versus Matt Arroyo. I got this one wrong. I picked Matt Arroyo by I think I said by TKO, and he ended up losing. Dan Kramer basically beat him. I think it was, what kind of decision was it? It might have been, let's see. It was a split decision. Yeah, so there you go. Christian Wellich, well, he lost by split decision, and Chris Wilson also lost by split decision. So yeah, I went 7 for 10 on the UFC fighting fantasy league thing. It says I got 41st out of 24,607. I don't know how I can go 7 for 10 and be 41st out of 24,000. Like I don't know who's playing this game if they're playing with their eyes closed. There got to be some robots playing. Like, I still can't believe that you can go 7 for 10 no matter how, well I may have done on picking the method. You know what I mean? I don't know how I could get 3 wrong and still be 41st place. But 41st place, son. Only moving up. Last week it was 63. First time I went, I was like 93. I'm just moving up and up and up. My record for 2009, right now, I got 3 wrong. I think of 4. So I'm 25 and 7. Holla. I've got some big news coming. I keep telling you big news because I want to just say I got big news and then eventually deliver. But I got some good stuff coming up. Some stuff y'all will like. And y'all know what it is. I'll be back for the next UFC. There's a few of them in February. MMA is important, y'all. It was a pretty good night of fights. Oh, before I go, I'm real interested to see what Dana White has to say. We know he made like 95 of his like behind the scene things on YouTube. He didn't say Fedor's name once. Fedor knocked out Arlovsky, and Dana White didn't say anything. You know, if Fedor would have lost, he would have made like 5 videos just like, I told you, man, he ain't nothing. He lost to dude and da-da-da-da-da. And then they would have signed Arlovsky and brought him back and gave him an automatic #1 title shot like Blammo. But he lost. So Dana White's like, Fedor who? And he's like, I don't even know who Fedor is. Who's Fedor? Like, he probably has like a gag order. Nobody in the UFC is allowed to say Fedor's name. But now, with George St. Pierre winning, he's definitely going to be talking a lot about #1 or #2, pound for pound in the world, only behind Anderson Silva, da-da-da-da-da. Look, to be completely honest, if you're like #2 or 3 or 4 pound for pound at 170 and you beat a 2, 3, or 4 pound for pound at 155, I don't think it moves you up. Pound for pound is like if you fought the other people. Well, you already beat dude in the past anyways. You beat him again. You're bigger, stronger, faster than him in the first place. It doesn't move you up. George St. Pierre is still pound for pound, I would say. I guess he's above BJ now. So he'd be third. There you go. #3, BJ Penn. Number 4, BJ Penn. #3, George St. Pierre. #2, Anderson Silva. And #1, Fedor Emelianenko, the last emperor. MMA is important, y'all. Peace.